Hey there, podcast listeners. Exciting news. My new audiobook, The Short Book Formula, A Financial Professional's Guide to Writing a Book in 6 Weeks to Attract Ideal Clients, is out now. And the best part, for a limited time, we're offering this audiobook to you for free. Hurry over to www.theshortbookformula.com and claim your copy now. And now, on to our show. Hey everyone, this is Paul McManus, and I am the CEO and co-founder of $1 Million Producer, which is a division of More Clients, More Fun. And today I'm very excited to be introducing my very first guest for the $1 Million Producer show, Shane Walls. Shane Walls, wonderful to have you here. How are you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. And this is really special for me because, we met a couple of years ago. I think it's been about 2 years, almost to the day, maybe 2 years and a month. And, up until the point that I met you, I really had, life insurance and, this market that you're in, was nowhere on my radar. I was serving coaches and consultants. And you came into my life, not in a weird way, but since then we've worked together very closely on your business. And, I guess the starting point of this conversation is that you have gone from a couple $100,000 of target premium to, I believe it's 2.5 million of target premium or so in less than a couple of years. What does that journey look like for you? That's a big question. We'll dive into that bit by bit, but just overall, what's that journey been like for you?
Well, I mean, when people say they live the dream, I really, really am. So, I was doing a couple $100,000 in premium a year, or target premium a year, and doing like most pretty successful guys doing life insurance, because I've got an RIA firm as well. So you add all that up, it's not a bad day's work for what you're getting paid. And so, but since we met, which goes back to me figuring out how to generate leads from social media. My business has went crazy because of all the leads and the types of leads that I'm getting, and how we've done all that, or how you've done it all to help me, get in front of the people. Because I used to spend most of my day, because my business is pretty easy to run, trying to generate leads. It's all marketing, emailing, calling people, meeting people for lunch, coffee, whatever, just networking. So, and I'm not bad at that, but I was like, there's definitely better. I always knew there's better ways to do it, because I'm a pretty good marketing, person in different kinds of businesses I've been in. So it's been, since we met, my life's been is a whole lot easier, and have been a whole lot more effective, because now I spend all my time basically either talking to clients that are the exact clients I'm looking for every day, or meeting them, or working on cases with them. So that's pretty much all I do.
That's fantastic. I love hearing that. And so let's go a little bit deeper there. In terms of your clients, I know when we started a couple of years ago, the idea was that your clients are business owners. What has that journey been like for you? So from when we started to today, who would you describe as your ideal clients and your ideal target prospects?
Well, like anybody probably listening to this, we're after the business owners, and that's, I've figured out that that's not really a target market, over the last couple of years. So, we were trying to figure out how to market what I was doing, in an effective way. And we came up with a pretty good solution from the beginning. So it worked out great. But, over time, I figured out, fast forward, 6 months, I think that's how long it took us to figure out, for what I'm doing, it just worked better with developers. And I got a developer client, and all of a sudden we went from, marketing to Texas, or, helping people save taxes in Texas, to, now I'm helping specifically developers. So, and what that's done is a whole nother story. Now I just work with developers, or happy in investors and developers, eliminate tax on asset sales and income. And, now I'm an investor in all their deals. And, now my RIA firm is pretty much managing my clients in and out of projects, real estate projects, multifamily and stuff, versus stock market. So my whole business has changed So when I say what I want with a developer, you better know I know their lingo, their jargon, what they're talking about in any sense. And so it's made having a niche market like that changes a lot, because those guys know that I'm different than the other guy they've been talking to, or the agent they have, or the advisor they have, or the CPA they have. I'm not a CPA, but it's like, I can do some things CPAs can't do with some tax attorneys I work with. So that's kind of, you take all that and you put it in a fine-tuned niche market, and it's a whole different story. That's why I'm a lot more effective now, because I'm just talking to mainly developers and investors about one specific thing. Now, just like everybody else that's probably listening, we do a lot of stuff. There's a whole lot of stuff I can do, but I hone in on one little thing I can do for them, which is their biggest pain, and we go from there. And so, go from there, then we go to the next. So I'm working, I got so many things working right now, I can't control it all. So I'm scaling my business. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
And there's two really, key points that you said. So, one was getting very clear on that very specific target market that you help, and that very specific pain point that you help them with. And in doing that, I work with a lot of, clients around this kind of strategy. And typically the fear or the concern or the worry is that the more narrow you go in terms of your marketing, you're going to limit your opportunities. And so just to, ask the question that way, since you've gone narrow, how, you mentioned how much more, it sounds like, effective you are with developers, but has that narrowed the other opportunities that you have for people that aren't developers and investors?
No, and it's the opposite of what most of us think. And I can speak for most guys in my industry, because I've heard it from all of them. They said the same thing. It's like, no, what you mean we're going to leave all this other stuff off the table? We need to let them know everything that we're doing. And so what you kind of taught me is like, let's figure out what their biggest pain is, just hit them with that, and then unleash what all you got, because then you're in the door. Then they're listening for this. You don't go in there talking about all the stuff you do. You talk about that one thing, and you get really good at that, and you're better than anybody else doing it. And then you're the guy. And so then when you implement that, I've laid seeds along the way. Look, we can talk about this, and this, and I can do this for you, and we can do it this way, text. There's things that we can. When you're learning all these different kind of strategies that we learn, if we're part of groups that learn tax strategies or different kind of strategies that are different than anything else, which is what I look for, because that's the only way. You got to be different in some way, and then you can unleash all that stuff, and they're ready to listen because you've helped them with this biggest pain. And so it's a flip flop of what we think. And I'm a huge advocate of niche marketing in a small area with one little thing, and you hit them with that arrow, and they're like, okay, yeah, let's talk. We need to talk about that, because I get that it's what we do every day. It's like, yeah, I need to at least talk to you, because I want to hear what you're doing.
Sure. And imagine, if you're talking to a developer, and the difference between, say, going in with how you go in, which is that you help a developer, real estate developer, investor, essentially eliminate the capital gains tax, right? Imagine that message and the reaction that you're getting versus, say, for example, approaching a developer and saying, I can help you with your business succession planning. I can help you with, your pension planning. I can help you with these things. What's the difference between those two approaches in your view?
Well, if you had 100 guys you're talking to, probably 90 of them would listen to me if I was approaching them about the capital gains tax, and maybe one would listen if I want to talk to them about if one. Right. If you called 100 of them, I don't think anybody would really talk to you about that stuff. So it's like, it's just a whole different approach, and it's worked, magically. And so, it's just, I wouldn't change a thing as the way we have it now. And it's just continuing to, explode.
Absolutely. And this is, I think, critical thing for any producer to kind of get from a marketing strategy standpoint, is that there's a big difference between referral business and cold lead generation. And by cold lead generation, it's taking a complete stranger, say that, you find on LinkedIn, and turning them into an interested prospect. And if a CPA or a center of influence is referring you in, then sure, it could be about succession planning or whatnot, because there's already an expressed need, there's already a transference of trust, and that's the conversation may just start there. But when you're talking about cold lead generation, and getting a complete stranger to be like, tell me more about what you do, especially these business owners and high net worth individuals, how is that different in your view?
Well, I mean, it's a lot different. So, the leads that I get every day or have calls with have been through a formula. So it's not like they don't know anything about what I'm about to tell them. It's not like they don't have they've expressed interest in exactly what we're going to talk about. So they're a warm lead. So every time I get on a call, and I do, there's certain things I do that I've learned because I have so many of them, and you just get better and better of each call that you get with the specific need that they have. And I always, what I do is I'll ask them their story. I want to know how they got to where they're at, and they love that. So that it really just creates a super. It's already warm because they're interested in a way I can help them with, saving taxes. So that's always a pretty warm lead if they have some kind, and they know that what I'm doing is legit because they've seen a bunch of stuff. They've seen some of my videos. They've seen some stuff before they even got on a call. And so that helps them understand that, what we're going to talk about is real and it's going to help you, but let me hear your story. And I'll give them some background. I didn't make up the strategy. I work with some tax attorneys. I'm part of a group that has all these great strategies, and we vet them out. So we kind of, so before you even get started talking about it, then we jump into it. We got a good relationship going, and it's just every time I get done explaining it to them, they get it. And they're like, what would be the next steps? Not that they're going to implement it, not that they're going to implement that strategy right away, but they're like, and I got the steps down. I'm like, well, we're going to get on a call with the tax attorney. You're going to have more questions in between. And if you can, send me some tax returns, I can kind of look at your numbers, and we can kind of start talking about what the numbers look like after we have the call with you. So so you have to have a little system down, but you develop that over time. But it doesn't take long when you have as many calls as you've been able to set up for me every week. And I even told them a couple of weeks ago, I said, don't set up any more calls for the next week because I got so many cases I'm trying to work on. So I'm trying to scale my business right now. So it's just, it's at a crazy point, which is just, that's the best problem we could ever have as an advisor or or agent. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I was just talking to a colleague of ours that we both know, Mark Larrabee, and just yesterday he was saying, "Okay, send me less appointments." How many advisors? How many advisors? You hear that from?
And you would never think you would ever in our business. You would never think you would say that about the kind of clients that we're sitting in front of.
Sure. Well, and speak to that, right? So Mark obviously well. Whether it's yourself or Mark, when you say the type of clients that you deal with, what does that look like? Whether it's developer, just in general, investors, et cetera, or what the target premium typically is.
Yeah, so it's a typical case or a typical client would be a guy selling a large asset, which right now because of the market. Everybody's trying to get rid of assets or sell them because everything's kind of appreciated right now. So it's where they're making their money. And so a typical client would be selling, anywhere from $2 million property to 20 million, I'm dealing with both right now.
Sure.
And based on what we do, there's some charitable structures that we set up in different ways, and life insurance comes with it because it pays the charity off down the road. They get some money now, some later. But the life insurance piece, and we'll usually finance it. And, the cases are usually anywhere from $500,000 a year premium on up to $2.5 million, which I've done some joint case work on those, but my largest one was $1.5 million premium. So, and I'm working on 2 of those right now. So, those all came from the types of leads that we're getting from these developers. And so what's happened since then is that I told you, I said, hey, let's hone in on a specific city. I'm not going to tell everybody what my city is, but
well, let's see. Let's throw people off. We'll say it's I don't know. No, never mind.
Well, it doesn't matter. But so we focused on that city. So what's happened is I've got all these clients in that city, and all these top guys know each other. So I'm like, hey, go talk to so and so. Go talk to so. They're like, oh, okay, if he did it, well, So it's become a lot easier. So I've really honed in on one city, and even though I like to go to different cities and work doing what I'm doing, when I tell you I'm going somewhere else, it set me up some leads there. So that's even better. I mean, people are like, that's got to be like a dream, because I went on an FFR trip in Laguna Beach and met with a developer out there that actually happened to live right across the street from a Montage. I was like, that was pretty nice. So, but anyway, to get back to the point, it's when as you've done this, even, when we first started, obviously I didn't have all those clients, but it's just gotten better and better. So that's where now it's a much easier conversation to have from the beginning, because a lot of times in the beginning when I started doing this stuff, I was like, it almost sounds too good to be true, but they believed it. But it was a longer process now where I was like, go talk to so-and-so, go talk to so-and-so. And it's like, it just, that's where, you can't get better than that. So it's just a great situation to be in. So every time we meet with a new one in this specific city, especially, they all know each other. So it's just a great networking city. And it's, so my business has exploded and cases are happening faster.
Yep. That's fantastic. And let me just ask the question a different way. You may have already addressed it, but just any other thoughts that you have is, why do your clients, do you think, choose you? Why is it that, this stranger, this person that doesn't know you, wasn't referred in through center of influence, is coming to you for the most part through LinkedIn as a complete stranger? Why is it that they trust you? Why is it that they choose you?
So it's all, I had to give the kudos all to you for getting me in front of these people. But what happens, and I'll figure this out, I know exactly what it is now, because I kept saying, God, I got another client that's just like me. They're all these guys are really, they got great personalities. They're fun. They're, now it's one of the rules. If the client's not fun, we don't.
It's a great rule to have, man.
But I can tell these guys that right from the beginning, they're just great guys. So I was like, how in the world is it just all developers are really fun and cool? What it is all these videos they've seen, you have a connection to them. They see you on the video. And so if it's a guy that's probably not a lot of fun and just strictly business and numbers, and he watches the video that I'm on, he's probably not going to call me.
Sure.
I mean, he might, but I'm just saying it's guys that actually, this guy's, he looks pretty kind of crazy, a lot of fun. Because that's how we do our videos. We want to make them fun, because that's the kind of clients we want to attract, and that's what's happened. So not only are we getting the demographic, the asset sale amount, the income, that type of client, we're getting the ones I would love that are becoming great friends. So that just takes it to a whole nother level. And now, it's like these guys, they call me every day, let's go play golf. Hey, we're going to Vegas this week. It's like I get invited to so many things every month. It's just insane, but it makes it so much more fun to be friends with all these clients. It's hard to even believe. So that the target premiums have went through the roof. The business has gone through the roof. The calls have gone through the roof. It's just and then the clients are just awesome. So you add all that up, and and I don't have any employees. I mean, we'll talk about that probably in a minute, but those kind of things create quality of life. And that's what I'm all about, quality. I'm not going to give up my quality of life for my business. I just would never do it, never have. No. And that's probably why I hadn't hit in the millions yet, because I've always had the drive. I just want to make sure I have my playtime. And that's more important to me and my wife, than anything. Business is obviously important, but I got to have some kind of balance. And I've figured out how to do that with this business and actually make a lot of money too.
I think you just articulated one of the secret ingredients of not only, so there's getting appointments. In my mind, it's very simple, right? So there's, there's essentially.
But that's in your mind.
Yeah, sure. So sure. In my mind,
people don't know is there's not many people like you that figure this stuff out, and I'm a true great marketing guy. And when I met you, that's the thing about it. It's so different because your mind works different than anybody I've ever talked to on the marketing side. Because your brain starts just going to work. I can see it, working every time we talk. And it's like you figure out things that nobody else can figure out in our industry and what we're doing. And so that's where, that gets it all started, and that's all we need, to get it started. But there's, getting you a warm lead is insanely awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you. In my mind, there's really two key things. One is getting the lead, right? Qualified lead, which is what everyone thinks that they need. And they do, for the most part. But then two, what you just articulated was the second thing, which a lot of people don't appreciate yet, is that once they start having all these leads, how do you actually speed up the process of closing the leads, especially when it's a cold prospect, right? So when it's a referral, that's a different dynamic, but how do you effectively and more quickly close a cold prospect? And what you articulated was that the more developers you're working with, you very quickly have learned to immediately introduce them to some of the developers that you've already worked with, because when they talk to them, the trust, all the things that you've established now just go to a whole new level. The question I have for you is, how did you create that dynamic? How did you create the dynamic where you've essentially enlisted some of your key clients, developers, to essentially be part of your sales team, if that makes sense?
Well, again, you helped me with that. So we took one of my first great clients and we did a video together. And so, he backing up what it's done for him, not just me talking or you talking, we asked him the questions, and, that's the credibility that we needed, or that helped me catapult what I'm doing into a faster sales cycle.
Right.
So that's basically what it is. It's like, I remember you telling me, as soon as you get your first big client or your first great client that's going to want to work with us and help you, and it's going to really facilitate, what we're doing faster. And I was like, hey, whatever, I'm busy, we'll talk about that whenever. I didn't really want to. I was like, it's going to be a pain to ask one of these guys to do a video. I was like,
sure.
But when you help them in a way like we have, the first one was like, no, I'd be glad to do it. No doubt about it. So, and that is really, that's when somebody asks me cold, and I'll send them a link on our video. It's like, so you have all these different sales tools that you've been doing, for a short period of time, you can really close a case. And then you just keep getting more and more and more credibility built up. And then the next thing you know, you got people want to meet with you because they've heard your name from so-and-so, or or you've got a lead and it's like, someone, and he's like, yeah, no, he's doing okay. Well, that's all I need to know.
Pretty much.
Let's talk about it. Right. Well, obviously we'll meet with the CPA and stuff like that, but in his situation, but it's like the credibility, I don't have a problem with credibility at all with what I'm doing.
Absolutely. Just to underscore that it's based off of the credibility you've established on your own, but then also it's further enhanced by the relationships that you've developed with some of those key clients and then their network. I remember that we did a in-person executive roundtable not too long back where, we're in a room filled with developers who are all there to listen to you. We just be able to create that opportunity where you're invited in. You're with some of your key clients. They're further telling their peer network how awesome you are. That is where you take your business development to a whole new level. Right,
and it is. So it's been great just figuring out how to do those different things. So not only about those leads that you're generating, and doing these online developer the roundtables where we invite my LinkedIn connections, and we had, how many people did we have show up at that first one?
Let's
75, I think.
77.
Okay. So and then a ton of guys are coming from that I'm starting to talk to. So just all these different creative ways of getting back in front of the people that I'm already connected to on LinkedIn is just, it's been a blessing.
Now there's two more points that I think this leads to, or two questions that make that, is that first of all, I heard you say it before, just, let me make sure I heard you correctly, is that you don't have any employees.
I do not.
So, tell me more how you pulled off that feat.
Anybody dealing with business owners see the same problems, and the biggest problems that they have, and it's usually employees, taxes and employees. And so, employees are probably number one, but very few business owners can manage employees effectively, and that's their biggest pain. Hiring, firing, just the day in, day out problem. So I was like, okay, when I start this advisory firm and do all this stuff, I'm going to set it up in a way where I hopefully only have a few employees. I don't care how big I grow. Somehow I'm going to figure out a way, because I knew how to outsource. Sure. I owned a big, I was in a big company before had a percentage of ownership in it. And I understood that, early on, I was like, okay, we don't want to hire employees for hardly anything. We knew from other guys, we had some mentors basically that told us outsource where you can. It may cost you a little more dollar wise, but it costs you a whole lot less than it would be to hire the employees because of the headaches that you're going to experience and the time consuming things that you had to go through. So, I built I modeled around that because I've experienced all that firsthand. And because at one time we had about 800 employees.
Okay.
And so we scaled that back down and figured out how to outsource a lot of that stuff. So, I was like, okay, I know and I knew it's not about the revenue, it's about the net, the net
sure.
income.
Yeah.
It's like,
absolutely.
We were doing 50 million a year and maybe netting 2 or 3 million in some of those times. And so I was like, the math doesn't work right on that. So anyway, fast forward, that was probably, 15 years ago. Now I've got it to where, I'm producing a large number in the millions, but my overhead, maybe 50,000. So, seriously. And so do I have people that do a lot of stuff for me? Yes, I do. But they're 1099 and I don't have to pay much out of pocket for anything because of the way I've strategically set everything up. So, including so that's the other point would be, okay, how am I keeping up with all these leads? How am I keeping up with all these people on LinkedIn? Well, I don't have to do any of that. And so that's the other magical thing is like, you've got a scheduler for me. You got somebody that actually handles my LinkedIn profile and talks to these clients when they connect to me and get interested. And so that's where the bigger key is I don't have to keep these ongoing communications going on. All I do every day is I'll look the day before and I'll look at my calendar and I'll see who I have the appointment with or who I'm talking to or who I'm doing a Zoom call like this with. And I'll go back and look at the conversation that your people had with them to get them to want to get on a call with me because they're your people are educated on what I do in a pretty insane way where they know exactly what my strategy does. So they know how to talk to them kind of like it was with me. And so, setting that up. And so it's all set up. All I have to do is get on an actual call or a Zoom call like this and explain what I do and build a relationship with clients. So I just take it from there and do what I do, and I don't have to do any of the marketing anymore. I don't have to set any of the appointments up, and that's just, so that right there that's what a lot of people spend a lot of time on, $40,000 a year assistant, that keeps up with, they do more stuff for these guys. I do my own paperwork because people ask me who does your paperwork. And I'm like, well, I do. It's like, I wouldn't want anybody to do my paperwork because it takes me 5 minutes to write an app. And I'm like, how long does it take you to write an app? And my cases are large, so I don't do that many. So it's like, I don't need somebody to do my paperwork. That's like simple. So anyway, things like that. It's like, okay, what are you good at? What are you quick? Things you're not good at, you should definitely outsource them. Scheduling, it's like, you don't want to be at a full-time schedule. So you guys do all my scheduling and everything. So that's a huge piece of a time-consuming area that I don't have to no longer do. And so all I do now is I'm on the phone talking to people. I'm working on cases. I'm working on numbers. I'm crunching numbers. I'm talking to the clients back and forth. And so, and right now I'm scaling the business where I can have somebody, they're not going to actually be an employee either. I'm going to give them a small portion of the app that we do to keep them incentivized to push this process through. But to help me close these cases, I need somebody to do some different chunks of it. And so that's kind of what I'm developing right now. So
perfect. One of the things you mentioned was Zoom, which is just video conferencing that we're on now. But tell us more about, do you typically meet with people in person? Do you have an office? Are you location free? What is, and I know the answer, which is what's that?
I'm mobile.
You're mobile. So tell me more about that.
I'm mobile. I do meet clients in person, but most of the time, never on the first call. So since we've known each other, I've learned how to, Zoom is the easiest tool I've ever used by far. I've never really done webinars or anything like that, but Zoom is super easy. So, I know how to control everything on my screen and I can let the client have it. So I do mostly Zoom or phone calls, the first one, just to see where their interest is, make sure they're exactly who they say they are, and they're needing my help right now. I always definitely will meet them at some point, but it keeps me from having to travel. So I'm here and I work out of the house, so I don't have an office. this is I got a super nice office at the house. So there's no kids running in and out. So I understand there's plenty of guys out there that are going to be listening to this that, it's like, okay, I've got kids and my wife's kind of crazy. So she's at the house all the time. My wife works. She's usually gone doing things. So it's easy for me to work out of the house, and I wouldn't change a thing because I got a much better setup than most people have at their real office. So this is my real. So it's virtual, so I'm mobile. But back to your point, it's like, okay, I'm virtual, I'm mobile. I cut expenses by working out of the house. I cut expenses by not having to travel and jump on a flight somewhere every time I go meet a new client. So I've saved tons of time and money by using this tool that right now we're talking on, and clients love it because it's funny. Most of them have never used anything like this. And so we'll get on there and they're like, wow, this is cool. Because we're like, it's like we're sitting at a coffee shop having, or having a cocktail, whatever. We're sitting across from each other.
You can bring your coffee?
It's no different. My phone's on my coffee thing. So. But it's like, this is like, now we're sitting right across from each other. It's no different than as if you were sitting right with them. Yep. And they can see your mannerisms. They can see everything. Right. Even if they don't have a camera, it doesn't matter. They can see me. Yeah. And it still is just as effective. But I always tell them, get a camera, because next time, and I said, I'll come meet you at some point, obviously, but I was like, especially if we're going down that path, but it's like, yeah, get a camera or get on your phone next time and jump on here. And I said, it's fun. I said, because you'll start using it in your business or in your personal life with your friends. And so anyway, but that's how I do a better presentation on here than I do in person, because I like using my PDFs and having my files set up. So right when I get on the call, I can just pull up anything. I know where everything's at. And so it's really become super effective on through my process. And so, but once I go meet them, maybe it's, a month down the road, and well, it depends on where they're at. If they're in a close city, I'll definitely meet them the second meeting every time. If not, then I'll maybe have a couple of meetings on here before I go see them. And then after that, I usually don't have to see them again, because everything I can do, the paperwork can go, I can send them the paperwork online and everything else, because I got all that stuff set up, and really only have to see them really one time. Whereas most people I know doing these kind of cases I'm doing, they're having to fly out every time to see these same clients 3 or 4 times to close them on a big case. And so there's, $2,000, $2,500 in flights. The time you go to the airport, fly there, fly back, you're missing all the other stuff that you could be working on. So there's a lot of efficiencies that I've learned by using these tools.
Sure. In my experience, it's funny because it's actually better for the client as well. It's better for the prospect. Yep. Instead of expecting someone to come out and having to take an hour, 2 hours, whatever it is, it's like it's 15 minutes, it's 30 minutes, it's whatever's needed to get in, get out. There's no downtime, there's no travel. It's efficient on your side, it's efficient on their side. I remember you and me, since we started working, because we met essentially online, right? I don't think we actually met in person for about 2 months. But once we met, it's like, hey, I already know you. It's like, it's
but even on your personal side. So I'm working with a trust attorney right now, setting up all my trust stuff, and that's a pain to do. Most guys know, but I got them doing it on here, so I had to go down to this freaking office all the way.
There you go.
So it's like, and he's like, oh man, I'm gonna start using that with some of my clients.
Totally. I've never met a single person who once they've done it once, hasn't been like, this is awesome.
Right. You can do all these things that you have these meetings that on your personal life, that people say, hey, you might want to, let's meet my office. Or what. I'm like, no, let's meet together at a virtual office. People are like, sure. And I'm like, no, just click on this link. You don't even have to download anything. You click on the link, and it's like, next thing you know, we're like, okay. And I said, you can pull anything up, my documents, let's go through it. Let's finish everything up. So it's not, you don't have to go 45 minutes to downtown.
My biggest fear is that when like in my business, it's everyone is location, everyone's around the world. I have no quote unquote local clients personally. Sometimes I have someone that's local, but not by design. And my biggest fear is that they're like, well, let's meet in person. It's like, crap. Can't we just meet on Zoom? It's like,
especially your business.
I need to know you a lot better before I want to invest in time in that drive.
Right. No, I really don't want to drive anywhere.
Now, you mentioned something about saving a ton of money on flights and not having to travel. Now, that being said, I do know, and I'm just going to spill the beans here, is that, in addition to your local market where you like to hang out, you have given my team some parameters in terms of, places like I think the San Diego area, Hawaii, that you like to spend some time. So tell me more about your where you do decide to allocate your travel budget and what that looks like.
You talking about business wise or personal?
Well, I think for you it's both. Is there a difference?
So I think I talked about that a little bit earlier, but
Sure.
But my sister lives in San Diego. I have ties in San Diego, so I go to San Diego. I've got buddies in Phoenix. I like to go to Phoenix to visit. So we always wrap a few meetings. We'll have a market a week or two ahead of time and get some leads going in there. So I'll have some meetings to go to. So that's how we do it when I go places. Maui is another place I like to go. I usually don't have you pulling up meetings there because I've already got some people I know there. But I was like, it's just that's for all fun. But I usually don't spend money on flights to those places. Right?
I think that's a whole other story, right?
I use points. That's right. So anyway, whole other story. But I don't spend money on flights these days for anything, and I fly less on business than I ever have. So it's just it's awesome. But yeah, being able to go to a place and stay longer because you got some meetings there or some actual potential clients is a lot more fun than going there just for a couple of days to visit somebody. So you can always justify at least 2 more days if you have one meeting. If you have 2 or 3 meetings, you probably a few more days. So I just have a little formula I use.
There you go. So in addition to what we've talked about, what in your mind has been your secret sauce? In addition to the work that we've done and what, everything we've discussed, I know that you're part of a producer group. What do you feel has been the key ingredients to you becoming $1 million producer the past couple of years?
The biggest key is obviously the marketing. There's no doubt about it. So that's what you've done is something that is a dream for anybody in our business. And so, it's hard to believe that, I was always skeptical. I kind of knew you were legit because of the way I found you, but, and the way we kind of developed some of this together, you helped me, I helped you. And it was like, it turned into something, really magical, but really it all goes down to the marketing and, how you find clients and then just everything that, as a seasoned sales person or, somebody that's been in sales for a long time, is just understanding how it works. It's like, okay, you got these leads. Now it's not up to you to close my leads. It's like, what do you do with those? It's not, you got somebody generating leads and you complain about them. Well, you got a problem. or they're bad leads, which we've all gotten those, but the leads produced are not bad leads. And so I'll clear that up right now for anybody listening. They're insane leads and they're people that need what you have. If you can't close them, there's some issues in your process, and I've talked to guys that have having a hard time closing some of the cases, I'm real good at figuring out, what they're doing wrong or where they're maybe having some hiccups. It's like, you got to build some kind of relationship, even though you're online, and it's not hard to do. It's like, okay, let's talk about you talk about personal stuff a little bit. You have to. Let's not jump right into the business. That's why I ask these guys, tell me your story. I'm interested. Like really, and I really am, because I'm an investor with about 3 of these developers that I do business with that have done some planning with me, and that's where I keep all my money at. And so it's a big deal to me to know their stories. So I always listen to them, and they know I'm genuinely interested. It's not like, hey, just tell me your story, so I want to get to know you, so I can say something.
Absolutely.
And they want to kind of know my story a little bit. And I'll tell them, and make it fun. It's like, hey, you got to have some kind of something to get them to where they like you. It's not all about selling them something they need, because guys are not going to buy from you if they don't like you. That is the biggest. I've talked to some of your other clients that do what I do, and they're great guys, but they've just had some issues with trying to do what they normally do online or on a call. It's like, you can do it on a call. You just have to, for certain steps that you take, you have to, you just have to get a formula down where you're really, really comfortable with each other. And it does help to be on Zoom. But if you're, but if you go jump right into the business side of it and you don't really talk about it. Now, there's some markets that would work fine for, but not mine. So developers are great. They're different. They like to build relationships. That's what they do. They're not all business. You get other types of there's some other markets I know that some of these guys work with that works great for them. They don't even have to talk about personal stuff at all. And so mine's different. You just have to understand, it's just about understanding your market.
Exactly.
What it takes to get them to want to do business with you. They're all different. So, it's like, so anyway, it's good to, it's good for probably people to hear that, but.
Well, and to your point though, in my experience, it works both ways, right? So for you, it's a little bit more relationship driven. I know others, I work with a number of people that work with attorneys, and same process, except, it's a little bit more get to the numbers. You still need to, the challenge, of course, is always how do you create trust and credibility? Now, there's different ways to go about doing it, but ultimately, different markets respond differently. I guess the point being is that regardless of your market, you have the ability to work remotely. You have the ability to use LinkedIn. You have the ability to fill your pipeline with as many of your ideal clients as you like.
Yeah, totally true. And it's just crazy. So it's one of those things where I'm on vacation, which I'm going on more frequently now. We're sitting back on the beach, and I can watch my phone and see these little LinkedIn things popped up all the time. Anything to worry about when I get back home, except for I'm gonna have a lot of stuff to do. Just
there you go.
The only thing to worry about is you're gonna have so many calls, and you've been doing nothing for 2 weeks, which I just did not too long ago. So it's just it's peace of mind. It's quality of life, which I've figured out how to do that, and balancing things out, family, business, travel, and then taking that to another level in all the aspects. So we're going to much nicer places. We're going longer. I'm working much more effectively. I'm doing bigger cases now. You got to start somewhere, but it's like you have if the marketing is in place, you can figure everything else out. It's just, it all evolves around the marketing, and it always has. I don't care what people tell you. You can have the greatest product in the world. If you don't know how to market it, you're not going to get anywhere. So it's like, we all know that as business owners, and marketing is everything. So if you got the marketing plan down, you get warm leads, there's a way to do it.
Switching gears slightly. So I know that you do some joint casework. And at the same time, I know that you don't really need to do it because you have so many of your own leads and prospects and clients and referrals and everything else. But for, potentially someone watching this, what would be an ideal joint casework for you? What does that look like? Is there an opportunity for someone to work with you and benefit from everything that you've learned and done and how you help people?
Sure. That's my niche market is, I would argue anybody, if they want to, come into my space and tell me they know more than I do in this area, it's like, that's what I've been doing for the last 7 years. And that's all I do. And so, it's like, you got something like that, you usually know it better than somebody else. And that would include working with any business owner selling a business, any developer selling an asset, an appreciated asset, any investor selling an asset, anyone selling an appreciated asset over $2 million. I can help them, eliminate the capital gains tax, and it calls for life insurance in there. So I do joint work with the guys. Cases are take a while to do. I think the quickest one I've ever done is about 6 months, and the longest one is about 1.5 years.
Yep.
And so they take a long time because you have to get, it's complex. And so, but I've built the spreadsheets and everything else around it. So those are the ideal clients for what I can do. High income earners, anybody over usually $1.5 million a year are great clients too. Business owners that are making $1 million plus a year that are going to sell their business 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years down the road. Those are great clients because those are perfect to work with. I can help them get an income tax deduction along the way, and then eliminate the tax on their assets. So those are the types of clients I'm looking for. Anybody that has a company that needs a buy-sell, that has a buy-sell in place, or they want to learn how to be able to tax deduct those dollars that they're funding to buy-sell with life insurance. There's a way to do that with a guy that's got a track record with the IRS of doing it. So, I've vetted these things out. I work with the right attorneys or right guys that have the relationships where it's all, a lot more black letter law. There's a lot of stuff out there with some of these same strategies where people are doing it wrong. But those are the ways I usually jointly work with other agents in those areas. And those are the two main ones that I focus on.
Sure. In part of it, so share what you will, but I know that just in your own experience, I mean, for anyone, it takes a certain, it takes not just knowing what to do, but it takes experiential learning and, skill development to get to the point where you have the confidence to close a, $1 million plus case, right? And I know in your case, I don't know how long ago, but you've worked with, people as you were learning the ropes, if you will. And now I know you work with the gentleman, or you do some joint cases with him. And one of the things that you told me that he said was that he's getting these leads, but they're not popping like they do for you. And so you've been working with him and just kind of helping him along the way. In your mind, what is the benefit of potentially someone who wants to do that $1 million case, has the client in place, has the opportunity? What is the benefit, if you will, to potentially doing that with you based on your experience of closing these cases left and right?
Well, it's the same way I started out. I didn't close the first, $500,000 a year premium or $1 million premium. I had somebody else doing it with me because it's too scary.
Right.
I was like,
it's kind of hard to sell when you're scared.
Well, first of all, when I heard about the numbers, I was like, who's selling a policy that big? I was like, anyway, I found out a little bit about it, and then I ended up going to a golf tournament with the guy that does a bunch of these cases, and then he brought me into his world. So I wanted his meetings. I didn't say a word. I was like, I was nervous.
Listen and learn.
Yeah. So it's like, it's not normal for a guy to do those kind of cases until he's been doing them. And then then the next thing you do, you join this group, and most of them do these kind of cases.
Right. It's like,
which is what we're all doing. But it's definitely nerve-wracking in the beginning, and it's something where if you're doing a strategy, you haven't done it a lot, it's like it's just hard to get through the process without losing your mind, thinking you're going to make that kind of money on one pop or on one potential sell on life insurance. And so having done a lot of these now, you kind of you have to pinch yourself a lot, because you're like going, it's still hard to believe, but it's like I'm doing so many. I got so many on the table. I'm like, it's just like I just do it. I just go through the process, and it's just like I don't get nervous at all anymore than anything, because it's like I got so many, and the clients can see that right away. So it's like you don't even. The first thought I remember thinking was, what are these clients going to think if they're borrowing money from a lender and that's going into the policy and they're paying the interest on it? What are they going to think about that big number? I think it's going to freak them out. And it doesn't, because the way you explain how it works, it's like, but if it was me explaining at the beginning, there's no way I could have got through that. I would have never sold my first one. So I had to do quite a few cases with other guys before I was comfortable enough to do it, because it's a lot, not only that, when you get into the underwriting and the, writing cover letters and proving their net worth and all that stuff is very complicated. And if you don't know how to do all that stuff, you can mess those cases up real quick. And proving the death benefit, that's another thing. So it's like, learn how to do all this stuff, and now it's actually pretty easy for me. But somebody in the beginning that has never done this or never worked on these size cases, it's much better to work with somebody who's got the experience, whether it's me or not. There's other guys that can do stuff that I can do, but you find somebody that you're comfortable with, that you trust, meeting with your clients, and then you go in and you see them together, and you just don't have to say much. you let the other guy do most of the talking. Yep. And then next thing you know, you're doing a joint case together, and you've made more money than you've ever made on somebody that you've worked a joint case with. And then you just get some experience and watch and sit back and watch. And that's what I did. I mean, on tons of appointments with this guy that's in his 70s, and he's just killing me. He's so much fun to work with. And just, he told me someday I'd graduate out of his class, and I did. But, I'd give everything back to, him teaching me how to do a lot of this stuff. And then, so you put that stuff with the marketing side, and now, it just gets crazy. It's a dream job. It's not a job. It's a dream business, the way that it's running right now, because I can take off anytime I want to, do anything I want to, and I'm still keep up with everything. I'm very efficient. I mean, I do have to tell people that if you're not organized, you may have to have an employee, but I'm very organized. right, an assistant or somebody to help you, but I'm super organized. So, I got a calendar that syncs with everything, and I've got a system, so that works real well for me. And, so not everybody's going to be in the same capacity as that, but it's certainly okay to have an assistant at the level I'm at, but I still don't want anybody on my payroll. I've got an assistant.
It's a badge of honor, right?
No,
Which is great. So shift, just let's see, I got a couple more questions for you. How, shifting gears, how, so you've had so much success. I mean, you're at the point where you don't need to work, you work because you enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, and let's clarify that, because sure. I don't have a huge house. I don't have all the stuff that a lot of people buy. I mean, so I don't have to work, right? I wouldn't have to work, but it's like, I just do it because I love it. But it's because we're still conservative, and we give money away and we help people. So we just believe in, not blowing all your money when you get bigger and bigger houses. I mean, we drive, nice cars, and we got a super nice house, but it's small, and we just keep everything where it's containable, where we don't overdo it. So in case something ever does happen to any of the stuff that we're doing, I don't have to work. And to me, that's the other peace of mind. And we do travel a lot, so that's kind of where we put most of our money, but we don't pay for flights again. But it's it's just
I find that hilarious.
It's hard for people to, if there's younger guys listening to this, you don't need a 5,000 square foot house when you make $1 million a year. You really just, unless you got 10 kids or something. But I understand that. But it's like, we got a 2,500 square foot house right in the hill country. We got 3 acres, got nice cars. Everything's pretty much paid for except the house. I don't believe in paying that debt off because I make more money other places. But it's like, we don't abuse the money we make. And so that's important. I think with anybody I'm working with, like, if they're younger, if they're older, they've taught me that.
There you go.
The older guy, all these guys that I'm meeting with, they're the same way. Some of them be kind of flashy, but it's same time, all their debt's usually paid for. They don't have all those financial problems. They don't have stuff all over the place. Some of the developers don't own a lot of stuff, but obviously that's what they do for a living. But I just wanted to add that because I think it's important.
No, I think that's great. And so the question is, though, building off of that, how do you give back? So in addition to your work, in addition to, how you help people through your business, obviously, how else do you give back just on a personal level?
Several ways, but like I was saying a while ago, we're very charitable, and I've got some charitable strategies that I show people that I do myself. Obviously there's tax perks in there, but it feels good to be able to take some of that tax money that was going to go to the government and give it to charities, churches, different things. So we give a lot of money away. We help families. We're constantly doing different things. Recently I've been so busy, I hadn't done as much, and it starts playing on me, but that's part of what we do. The other way is just helping other people, helping other guys in this business, which is a whole lot of fun to me. I brought another friend of mine into the business. We're about to close some big cases. He's never done any little cases. He doesn't understand little cases, and which little cases are big cases to most people. But these cases we're working on, he's never done life insurance in his life, and we just wrote a $1 million a year case, and he don't even know what he's going to make on it yet. But that's kind of cool because he's never even been in the business. But giving back and helping other people like that made me feel really good because he was sold his business and he's coming into this business cold, and they really need the money now, and it's going to all start hitting at about the time they're running kind of low. So helping that and just helping other guys in general. So I network a lot with the guys that are in my FFR group, and we just all help each other. And they're like me. That's like we don't hide all of our stuff. It's like feel free to take what I got if you want to go use it. I don't even care. But it's not easy what I do. But some of these guys have different strategies. Some of them are simpler, but we don't care because we got so many people we see every day. They're never gonna touch our market at all because they're probably doing an old school marketing. Or if they do, there's plenty of people out there. If somebody's doing the same marketing, I am, and you're doing the same marketing for them as me, this. I'm just talking about this in general. There's going to be different people that reach out to me that reach out to them because our personalities are different. We look different. Yep. It could be an age thing. People reach out to other people for different reasons. It's crazy. And so I understand that the more people that are doing what I'm doing that's being marketed, the better it's going to be for all of us because all of a sudden there's a lot more credibility. Hey, I see this guy was doing that. I'm going to talk to this guy. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. So, so it's just there's no such thing as saturation in market when you have an insane marketing plan. What we're doing. So, people can say that, and they do. I hear it a lot. It's like even with MLM companies or people that work for them because they can't figure out a way to close somebody or get them to come into the business. They're like, oh, it's saturated. Well, you know,
Sure. Keep telling yourself that.
right. It's like you just have to learn how to effectively lead somebody through the system.
Yep.
Because the girl above her is recruiting somebody every week. It's just interesting. That's an interesting way of putting stuff like that, where you just hear the stuff all the time. It's like, so yeah, I've heard guys say, well, isn't that market's probably saturated? I'm like,
yes, the 40,000 people in the market. Yep, they're. Final question, and I want to just kind of open-ended. Thank you so much for your time. And as we kind of start wrapping up, are there any final thoughts that you'd like to share that are important to you, or that you think that we haven't covered, that you think a producer watching this would benefit from?
Yeah, I think it's like, some people look at stuff like this and they're like, oh, well, Sam's probably making money off this, whatever. Well, I'm not. And, I don't need to make money off this. I'm helping you because you've been helping me, and that's true. And so it's good to understand that, yeah, this stuff works, but it's not all, it's not for, I think it's for anyone, but I think there's certain things you have to do to make it work. You put all your time and energy in learning what the pain point is of the market we're trying to get into. So, I think it's one of those things where it's like, you're not going to start getting a ton of leads every week right from week one. It's one of those things where it's going to take some time. But what's happened, and this is real important, I think, I don't know if you tell these guys all this sometimes, but it's like, I started out with 500 LinkedIn connections I built on my own that had nothing to do with developers. So I had all these different people, and some of them were friends, a lot of people I've met in the past, whatever. Probably not my target market at all, or probably not even a prospect with anything I did.
I've seen a few attractive women come through.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm married now, so no. Anyway, but what's happened is, I started out with 500. Now I got over 5,000 people I'm connected to. Most of them are developers and investors. So now when we do a video together and you send it out, which I see them go out all the time because it'll kind of tag me in the or I guess you tag me. But now those go out in front of all those people, all those extra people. So I get people commenting on that, and I see stuff going on. So I get appointments from that too, not just people new people connecting to me, people that have been in there because they start seeing my videos, and it's random probably every time somebody sees it. But the point is that over time it's gotten better and better and better. I remember being on that last, for 2 weeks I was gone, and I was stressed out because I looked at my calendar probably the last 3 days I was there. I was like, let me see what I got next week. I was like, oh my God. I was like, that's so much to deal with on your first week back. But I was sitting there laughing because that's the problem we all want to have. Where your calendar is so booked, you don't know what to do. So the point being is that in the beginning, you'll still get leads. And sometimes, depending on what market you're in, what you're doing, you probably get more than what mine's such a different market. Mine's kind of different than a lot of people's are, but it's like, I don't need very many clients for what I'm doing, or very many prospects. Some people need more, sell more, per week, or more appointments a week. Mine's less appointments, more quality, larger cases. So everybody's a little bit different, but it's good to know that in the beginning, it just got better and better, and it's still getting better by the day because we're still connecting to people. So I keep seeing my number go up and up and up by the connections I get, which means there's more people looking at everything that you're sending out for me.
Fantastic. All right. Well, Shane Walls, thank you so much for being our very first guest number one on the new $1 Million Producer Show. Number one, man. So thank you so much for your time today. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Paul. Take care.